Hello there, this is James, and you're watching OneRoyal, and it's live. In today's program, I want to discuss how the US market is woken up from its nap, and the UK market as well, of course, because both the UK and the US had a bank holiday yesterday, Memorial Day in the United States. So we didn't really see the reaction of what happened on Sunday. But today we do. I also want to talk about how important these talks or these trade talks are going to be between the European Union and the United States and what that means to the market. And as well as that, a really big event happening tomorrow, which not only just affects one company, but potentially affects the whole market. But before I get into all of that, don't forget, these little videos are for educational purposes only, and in no way whatsoever should be taken as financial advice. I always suggest you do your own research, do your due diligence, and of course, the risks at hand before entering any trade. With that out the way, let's get started. So, yes, indeed, the market has indeed woken up from its nap, because like I said already, yesterday was Memorial Day in the United States and it was a bank holiday in the UK. So what's happened? Well, basically it's woken up, and pretty much like the European market did yesterday, there is indeed a little bit of hope back in the market. Let's face it, last week didn't end well. Didn't end well at all. The market closed with losses across the board. Especially after Trump's tariff threat of 50% tariffs on the EU on Friday. However, things have changed since then. Not surprisingly, Trump made a phone call, and he spoke indeed to the president of the European Commission, and he's agreed, following that telephone conversation, to delay the 50% tariffs on the EU for 90 days. And as well as that, the EU, during this phone call, has agreed to fast-track trade talks with the US. Needless to say, the market reaction yesterday, and indeed the market reaction today, is there was much rejoicing in the market. However, what I will like to point out, we're not out of the woods yet, because these talks are going to be crucial, absolutely crucial. And then the EU, who has 27 member states, represent the largest US trade partner. Now, it's going to be very, very sticky negotiations, very sticky, because the US wants the EU to cut tariffs on all American goods. And here's the other thing. The EU has got a backup plan, because if these tariff or these trade talks do not go well, and if they fail, they're getting ready to do their own retaliatory tariffs on 108 billion on US goods. So needless to say, these crunch talks are going to be crucial, and they are set to begin. Now, the EU really want to focus on several industries: semiconductors, automobiles, pharmaceuticals, aluminium, and they want these to avoid tariffs. Because don't forget, at the moment, there's 25% tariff on steel and aluminium. There's also 25% on automobiles coming in. So, and don't forget, all these are major industries in the European Union. So these talks are crucial, and it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy. I mean, this is probably going to be one of the toughest negotiations. But here's the other thing as well. Yes, we've got a 90-day delay. So it's the 9th of July. Okay. But that's also the date when all the other reciprocal tariffs expire as well. So we've got 6 weeks to do trade deals, get trade deals across the table with the European Union, Japan, South Asia, Vietnam, China, don't forget as well. You know, we've had this conversation on this show several times, to name just a few. 6 weeks. Now, don't forget, over a month ago, the 9th of April, Trump, after his Liberation Day, on the carnage that caused, on the 9th of April, Trump announced that he was going to delay reciprocal tariffs for 90 days. And we are so far now coming to the end of May. And the only real trade deal we've got a glimpse of, which is one of the easiest, you know, because there's a trade surplus between the UK and the US. And that was one of the easiest ones probably to get across the line. The other ones, not so easy, are going to be more and more difficult. So that's going to be the thing to keep an eye on. But anyway, let's have a quick look at the market, how it stands. And like I say, you know, there is indeed, as it stands, much rejoicing in the market. So let's start off with the S&P 500. Okay, as you can see, again, you had a little nap yesterday. You're obviously having a barbecue, you know, Memorial Day, so it wasn't trading. But as you can see, it's up by 1.35% on this 90-day delay on European tariffs, and hope that they can get a trade deal on the table. So it's currently trading at 5,880 points, but like I say, up 1.34%. Don't forget, last week was not a good week, so this is a good start, good start for the week, even though it is indeed a shorter week for the S&P. Same with the Nasdaq as well, which we'll talk a bit more about as well later, because there's a particular topic I want to talk about. That's currently up 1.72% as well. Again, opened quite nicely with a gap, as you can see as well. And the Dow Jones, okay, you know, up again a little bit, but not massively. You know, just down slightly by 80 points, but nothing too drastic. If we have a quick look at the Mag 7, and there's one company in particular, which I'm going to talk about in a moment, the Tesla is up today, even though my next story is about Tesla, is up by 4.85%. Again, bad week last week, so this is part of the recovery. Meta up 1.63%. Microsoft up 1.64%. Amazon up 1.57%. Alphabet up 2.30%. And Nvidia up 2.72%. And Apple, who, don't forget, Apple got threatened last week with 25% tariffs of their own by Trump if iPhones and Apple products weren't made in the United States. They had a bad week last week, but they bounced back slightly today, again, with a little bit of hope. Again, maybe thinking that, you know, Trump's bark is worse than his bite, but currently up 1.64%. But this is the company which we're going to talk about in a moment, Nvidia. Extremely, extremely important. Something is happening with this company tomorrow, which could indeed affect the whole market. Anyway, I want to move on to a different story. Despite being up today, Tesla is still not having a great time of it, because indeed their earnings yesterday, not their earnings, sorry, their sales in Europe fell by 49% in April from a year earlier. This is the fourth straight month of falling sales in the European Union. And it's got nothing to do with the demand for EV cars, because the demand for EV cars are going up. Tesla is coming down in their choice of EV car makers. Clearly, because we have a lot of competition, a lot of obviously European car manufacturers are going down that route. You know, obviously then we've got the Chinese firm BYD as well. I mean, if you look at it, Tesla's European market share has dropped to just 0.7% from 1.3% a year ago. Now, you know, it doesn't take a genius to know why this is. This clearly, obviously, we've discussed this many times on this program before. This is indeed down to, obviously, Musk's connection to Trump and the Trump administration, which has seriously damaged the brand. As well as that, I think the lack of innovation. You know, the Y model has failed to impress. And I also think it's also the case of that the competition is just getting maybe a little bit better and catching up on them really closely. So Tesla is really, really hurting. Right, let's do then. Now I think it's time to do a little bit of a currency update. Yes, let's do a currency update as well. Now, the dollar was not having a good day yesterday. But like I say, he has had a little bit of a comeback today with the general optimism in the market. Currently trading with the euro on a 30-minute. Euro is finding a bit of support. There was in a slightly pressure over the last hour or so. Current minus support 1.113,437. Easy for me to say, which is holding it for now. On a daily, though, we can still see the overall picture is that slightly down for the day, but really generally speaking, we have seen a weaker dollar against the single currency. And like I say, was trading round the euro dollar, that is around a 3-year high against the greenback. The same as the British pound, the cable, just really touching and teasing that 1.36 level. Again, trading around a 3-year high against the mighty dollar. Same we can say about the dollar yen, which has managed to recover a bit today. Last week or yesterday was not good as it hovered above the 1.42 level. It's since bounced to that. It's now currently trading at 144. So again, slight dollar strength. And we can see that again as well with the dollar index, which is just above again 99. Yesterday, it fell down to 98, which again was a 3-year low. The dollar index. There's something else I want to look at as well. It wouldn't be a broadcast if I didn't talk about it, obviously. And that, of course, is gold. Now, gold, obviously, because of the hope and the excitement of Trump, pushing back or holding back on these tariffs for 90 days, we have seen a weaker gold today. Currently trading around $3,296. A colleague of mine, actually, we had a very good conversation, and he made a very good analysis here on a 4-hour. We can technically see the initial support, which he calculated, which is a potential area of $3,284, which had been sort of hovering around that level and has been holding. Secondary support. We can see the moving average there around $3,247. Overall, though, if we look at the trend, which is a good call by my colleague, interesting call, definitely. And then, of course, if we look on a daily as well, it's still way above the trend line. Again, like I say, yes, we're going to expect this. When we get good news, gold is going to lose its shine. When we get bad news, gold is going to get its shine back. So we're still very much in a slight bull channel, in my opinion, still slightly bull run with it. My only concern for this bull run to potentially continue, of course, if we get more good news and the trade war goes away, which it won't go away, but I am seeing, again, like I mentioned, a potential double top there with the yellow. God, I can't get my teeth in today. Yellow metal. Anyway, on another topic, which I want to talk about, which I'm really excited about, actually. And it is really the talk of the town. Really is the talk of the town. And that is something which is happening tomorrow. And that is NVIDIA's earning report. Now, here are some mind-blowing numbers. Since the launch of ChatGPT in November 2022, or late November 2022, NVIDIA's share price has risen by nearly 700%. As well as that, at the same time, or during that same time, the S&P has risen by 45%. So 700% NVIDIA and S&P 45%. Now, here's another thing, mind-blowing numbers again. When ChatGPT launched, NVIDIA's market cap was just over 400 billion. As of the 19th of May, its market cap now stands at 3.3 trillion. Now, to show how important, this is not just about one company, in my opinion. Not just about one company, this earning report coming out tomorrow. Because we have a look at this image here. This is the image of the percentage that NVIDIA influences the S&P's gains. And the S&P's gains since November 2022 has been driven by NVIDIA by 17.21% by NVIDIA. So NVIDIA's gains has boosted the S&P 500. And NVIDIA is one company of 500. Just think of that percentage for the moment. Now, this is a real potential barn burner tomorrow. Because if we do get very positive results, not only can it potentially impact the remainder of the Mag 7, it could boost the market even more, like the S&P 500. At the same time, flip side of the coin, if we get negative results or below expectation, it can have the opposite effect. So like I say, it's not just about one company tomorrow. It's about the whole AI and chip industry and the tech industry in the United States, the Mag 7, and also about the S&P 500 in general. So this earnings report is creating quite a bit of excitement. And because of that, I will do a special broadcast tomorrow, a little bit more on NVIDIA, going through some numbers, some more statistics like I've got there. And we're going to have a proper conversation about it, because I think this could be a really big, really interesting topic. And there's something else. I mean, what I also want to discuss as well is this possibly Trump's biggest mistake? You know, focusing more on manufacturing instead of focusing on what America is leading the way at, which is AI and chips and technology. You know, could he potentially kill in the future the golden goose? That is indeed what I want to talk about tomorrow. There is other information, other data coming out as well, which is just as important. And that's FOMC minutes tomorrow. Will the Fed shed some light on when they might next raise interest rates? US GDP, don't forget the previous reading was a negative number. German retail sales, German CPI, and US PCE, again, a major inflation gauge. Are we going to see a slight tick higher in inflation? Don't forget, of course, this is a live show and you can talk to me anytime you like, ask me questions or say hello. Or what I really love is hearing other people's opinions. Let me hear what other people have to say, what they think about the market or what they're trading, etc. So don't forget that. As well as that, of course, if you're not part of the OneRoyal family and you're interested to find out a bit more about us, you can click on the link above below in the description, and you can find out a bit more about us. So feel free as well as that. And of course, if you're watching me on YouTube and you like this sort of thing, by all means, subscribe if you like. Hit the notification button so you know next time when we're going live. And you quite like this content, and more importantly, you've put up with me and my over-the-top enthusiasm. By all means, give me one of these. It's nice to know that you like what I do. As well as that, I've also noticed that a lot of people potentially missed the live shows, but they go back and they watch the recordings, which is great because I just love the support. During the recording, if you do indeed have a question or a comment or, want to share something, put it in the comment section below. I will see it and I will reply to that comment next time I go live on air, which of course will be tomorrow. So don't forget that. Okie dokie. If there is no questions, not a problem. Leaves me to say, till next time, don't forget, these little videos are for educational purposes only, and in no way whatsoever should be taken as financial advice. I always suggest you do your own research, do your own due diligence, and of course, the risks at hand before entering any trade. Till next time, every single one of you, trade safe.